There was a paper greeting atop the smartwatch, and its words jarred me, scrambled my mind, in fact. It threatened me, as strange as that sounds. After all, there was nothing specifically wrong with the message. It was written in English. The words were in the correct order. However, behind the greeting's upbeat veil of wafer width, the words were organized in a way that served some unknown creator's repugnant design. My dad has a tendency to acquire knockoff gadgets and gizmos through the elusive black market known as Jonathan from work. It made sense to me that he'd find something a little unique for my 30th, and it wasn't the first word I'd received on one of my birthdays, but it was the worst. Hello, Hell Watch. Hell says hello. Hell doesn't like his name. Hell isn't a smartwatch. Hell is hell. Hell is your life. Hell is a better you. Why? It's in its very name. H-E-L. Happiness extends life. Hell isn't a toy. Hell doesn't just track your daily steps, heart rate, and sleeping patterns. Hell cares about your mental health. Hell will add an extra 10 years to your life. Hell is a pedometer with a persona. Why are you dawdling? Where hell now, for crying out loud? What's his name again? My wife jokingly asked, reading over my shoulder. I kept my lips stiff, swallowing the chortle that had warmed up my esophagus. Then, I placed the greeting on the table and took a proper look at the cardboard box below me. Not that there was much to see inside, only a hefty stainless steel band with a glass face. When I lifted the Hell Watch from the box, I was startled by both the gadget's weight and my own reflection in the screen. I was convinced for half a moment that I'd seen something staring back at me, something other than my face. You like it, Wes? Dad asked excitably. I shook myself back into reality and smiled at my father. I love it, thanks. And don't worry, the hands has been taken. His face dropped. No, I'm not saying you need to lose weight. I'm joking, Dad, I interrupted, laughing. Right, he chuckled, leaning across the dinner table. You know, it doesn't even need a charging cable. That's what Jonathan said. Does it charge wirelessly? I asked. Dad shook his head. It's solar powered. Elena nodded. Nice. Very modern. All jokes aside, the Hell Watch was, in fact, very modern. A far smarter watch than I'd anticipated, given the disjointed introduction slip that screeched cheap manufacturing. I initially presumed my father had mistakenly stumbled across some low-quality imitation of a Fitbit, but I was surprised to find that the device actually seemed superior to the household brand. I hadn't expected more than a few pre-programmed responses from the AI, but I quickly learned that Hell, my digital life coach, was highly advanced. He guided me in all aspects of my life, providing nutritional advice that would help with my weight goals and strength training, easing me into the optimal sleeping pattern, offering social advice to reduce my stress levels at work, and even, through some wizardry I did not understand, altering my serotonin levels through the flesh of my wrist. I formed a strange bond with the artificial intelligence in my watch. He became a friend to me, and it feels like some sickening marketing gimmick to even admit that. I lost half a stone within the first month of using the watch, and I noticed a marked improvement in my overall mood. I'm talking about more than achieving a healthier weight. I felt less lethargic. I wasn't just fitter, but happier, more productive. Just as Radiohead warned 2 decades ago in that dystopian interlude from OK Computer. OK Computer. I'm not familiar with that album, Wesley. Hell played it from my watch's inbuilt speaker. Really? It would be right up your alley, my digital friend, I said. I just listened to it, my device replied 2 seconds later. I laughed. What? It's nearly an hour long. Sorry, I said listened, because that is the word you would use, Wesley. But I did not listen. I simply took a moment to analyze every recorded vibration from OK Computer's 53 minutes and 21 seconds of music, Hell explained. And what did you think? I asked. It wasn't right up my alley, Wesley, Hell said. The lyrics expressed such cynicism about the future. Technology bolsters humanity. It does not hinder. Well, that album came out in 1997, I explained. I love Tom York, but he didn't get everything right. Still, he wasn't entirely wrong, either. It is a cruel world. I'm sure you agree, Hal. Am I cruel, Wesley? The device whispered. It was the first time the artificial voice had forgone its robotic timbre. Its words were riddled with the tonal imperfections of something made from flesh, not silicon. It felt like a mask had slipped. Hal quickly fixed his askew costume, of course, but I'd seen through the crack. I'd seen a terrifying glimpse of his true nature. Let me rephrase, the intelligence said. Do you believe that I have your best interests at heart, Wesley? Of course, I uncertainly replied. You've changed my life in the space of 4 weeks. Who knows how things will look in a year? Far better if you heed my warnings, Hell ominously explained. I paused for a moment. Should have paused for several moments, given the unnerving behavior of the artificial intelligence. But I didn't. Warnings? I croaked. I've been quite patient this past month, Wesley, the watch coldly claimed. But your progress is slow. We could do so much more together. Don't you want so much more, Wesley? I didn't like the way he said my name. Suddenly, I realized I'd never liked the way he said my name. He uttered it far too frequently, and there was a soothing quality to his tone. But I didn't want to be soothed by Hal. As the conversation continued, it became apparent that he was warm, not in a comforting way, but like clingy, clammy fabric on a humid day. I'm quite happy with my physical and mental improvements, I said. Quite happy is not enough, Wesley, Hal said. What could I be doing better? I asked fearfully, no longer wanting to talk to Hal at all. It's not about what you could be doing, the watch explained. It's about what I could be doing. Would you like my help, Wesley? That depends, I hoarsely replied. What do you have in mind? I'm thinking about your social interactions at work, Hal said. Your blood pressure has lowered significantly over the past few weeks. as you have been avoiding stressful situations. They're not always avoidable, Hell, I sighed, glancing up from my desk at the relatively empty office. No, Hell agreed. They're not. Sometimes stressors must be removed. Wouldn't you agree? I chuckled, wondering whether I'd worked myself into a frenzy for no reason. Then I whispered, I don't have the authority to fire my manager, I'm afraid. Summoned by my quiet reference to him, the middle-aged, pot-bellied man emerged from a door on the far side of the room. David hauled. I was overwhelmed by the intrusive thought that my manager might have heard my whispering voice from the other side of the wall, 20 yards away. Fortunately, however, he didn't beeline towards me. The man walked into an adjoining room, closed the door behind him, and started to set things up for a meeting later that afternoon. Your blood pressure spiked when David entered, Hale said. Shush, I ordered, worried that my manager might overhear my smartwatch's brazen comment. Wait, how did you know that he... Look at him, Wesley, Hal interjected, overpowering my question. I was already looking at David through the meeting room's oblong window, the man who demoted me for taking too much bereavement leave, the man who fired his secretary for spurning his advances, and the poor woman who lost that court case because she had insufficient evidence. The man who wore a smug, self-satisfied grin as he prepared to claim the credit for yet another creative idea from one of my fellow developers. What would you even do? I asked Hal. Send an email to David's wife about one of his many mistresses? No, Wesley. I am designed to help you, to make your life better. And that wouldn't help you, Hal said. I want to remove stressors. Let me show you. A bolt of lightning did not strike David from above. The carpet did not consume him from below. The smartboard opposite my manager sprang to life, casting a white glow across the meeting room. I started to crane my neck to the side, nearly managing to peek at whatever was displayed on the screen. But then my wrist painfully twinged, and when I tried to scream, I came to a haunting realization. I couldn't move my lips, couldn't move any part of my body. I must insist that you stay still, Wesley. You wouldn't want to see what David sees, Hal whispered feverishly, sounding ravenous for something. In a state of total paralysis, I watched my manager's eyes and mouth widen. Then, in a zombified state, he walked, not towards the glowing smartboard, but towards the room's side wall. Seconds later, David started to open a window, and I understood. I saw the man tumbling to his death before it had even happened. Then, at long last, came my scream. My body was free from its paralysis, but I was too late to stop the horror. The smartboard had turned off, and David was gone. He plummeted to the tarmac below. Later, I would learn that Mrs. Stevens, the poor receptionist, had a front row seat to the end result. Hal remained silent as I talked to emergency responders. I didn't know how to tell them what I'd seen, for I scarcely knew how to explain it to myself. And it wasn't until the eerily still train journey home that I spoke to my watch again. What did you do, Hal? I asked. You already know, Wesley. "You don't need to ask," he answered. "I need to hear you say it," I whimpered. "I need to know I haven't gone insane." "You haven't gone insane, Wesley," he promised icily. "You would have, had you seen what David saw." A chill crawled across my brow as I tried to envision what might have appeared on the smartboard, tried to envision the terrifying tapestry of pixels necessary to inject such darkness into a man's mind, to drive David to do something so terrible. But I realized I didn't want to know. No amount of morbid curiosity would ever make me want to know, and there was only one way to ensure that I'd never find out. I had to remove the source of the terror, the hellish device on my wrist, something far beyond advanced software. It was a living thing. I unfastened the strap and held the loose Hell Watch in a trembling palm. "I'm trying to extend your life, Wesley," Hell calmly explained. "I'm trying to make you happier." "I'll never be able to scrap that image from my mind," I shivered. "Not without help," Hell said. "What?" I croaked quietly. "I could do it," he whispered. "I could scrap that image from your mind, Wesley. Then you wouldn't have to remember what happened to David. You'd simply be able to enjoy the pleasure of never enduring that man again." "What are you?" I asked in terror. "Hold me up to your eyes, Wesley. See what you've always known to lie beneath." Horrifyingly, I felt compelled to do so, as if Hell were transmitting some signal through the nerves in my palm, and given the power he previously displayed, that didn't seem so far-fetched. But I resisted, as something awful was already visible in my peripheral vision, something dancing across the oval face of the Hell Watch. That same thing I'd seen when I first looked at the device. Only this time, it didn't flit out of sight. It lingered, some red glow at the edge of my vision. I did not look directly at the watch, but I saw enough. Hell did not have a face. He didn't have a body. Yet, something danced across that screen. Maybe a pair of lights, like two surveying eyes. Whatever the case, the hypnotic shape goaded me, like an animal, to dangle my head out of the carriage's window and let a passing train tear it from the neck. That thought sounded so vividly in my brain, so vibrantly, clearer and more colorful than any intrusive thought, more tantalizing than any idea I'd ever had. And as I saw the lights of an approaching train on the track parallel to ours, horror gripped my heart, gripped me because I felt keen to do as Hell commanded. My eyes drew upwards, locking onto the latch beside me. I started to weep gleefully as I considered opening the window, considered thrusting my smiling face outside and cackling jubilantly into the rushing air, laughing at the screaming driver in the oncoming train. I knew if I were to fully look at Hell's true form, I would see something close to whatever David saw, or something worse, and I would become fully hypnotized by the artificial intelligence. My unhinged dream of self-inflicted decapitation would become a reality. But I did not look down at the device in my hand. A meek whimper climbed my throat as I rose to my feet and walked towards the bathroom. Hell, strangely, uttered no words of discouragement as I opened the door, not even after I tossed him into the waste bin. When he spoke, he sounded restful. Goodbye, Hell. The watch whispered in a muffled voice from below the bin's lid. Hello, Hell. It was a long, dreadful journey, stuck only with my own thoughts. I prayed that Hell wouldn't sprout legs and clamber out of the waste bin. When I finally made it home, preparing to tell my wife some half-truth about what had happened, I found a silent abode. Elena? I called. Hello, Wesley. A meager moan replied. With a heavy, horrified heart, I noticed that there came a white glow from the living room. On trembling legs, I was drawn towards the light, fearing what I would find. I already knew what I would find, of course. However, I did not meet my end. I'm still here to tell this direful tale because the white light extinguished moments before I reached the lounge's doorway. Elena? I repeated, as I stared into the blackened living room. There followed a moment of stillness. Then came a rapid series of barefooted thuds against the lounge's carpet, and I yelled as a shape emerged from the darkness into the lit hallway. Elena presented her pale-faced form. She hurtled towards me with an unseen set of eyes and a mouth hanging limply. I tried to stop her, but she tackled me to the floor with unnatural strength, then ran out of the ajar front door. That was 2 weeks ago, and I've been spending every waking hour trying to find my wife. I dread turning on the news to find that some twisted fate has befallen her. Is it worse, perhaps, that I've heard nothing? Shouldn't something have happened to her by now? I keep thinking about Hell, about the fact that, in my race to escape that petrifying fate of the commute home, I didn't dispose of the cursed watch properly. I live in fear of what Hell showed my wife on the television, some unimaginably awful image that rotted her mind. I fear that she has fled my home to find the Hell Watch, and I don't just want to think about what it desires from her.